being 7 o'clock, we'll open the planning board meeting for May 2nd, 2018. So do we have, yep, got some bills. Do you read these? No, we've been, but I don't think it's, so we have some payrolls and some invoices to go through. Pass them.
Make a motion to approve those.
Second.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
So we have 4 A&Rs. Yep.
Julian? Ramshorn Road? Okay.
Yep. Have a seat.
Yeah,
Please do.
absolutely.
Sure.
If anybody doesn't know me, I'm Jason Julian. Sure. I live over here on a 5-acre parcel, and last year I had the opportunity from the heirs of Vernon and Sienna to purchase this before it went to market to developers. Ray already had been working with Rick Para, who's my uncle, worked for him 20-something years ago, to turn this into a 5-lot parcel. I was actually negotiating with Ray to try to buy some backland, but he passed away in the middle of it. So I ended up making a big investment here and bought this property. And we've decided, since I live here, to divide it into far less lots. Presenting here with a 3-lot plan. One takes the existing farmhouse, puts that on a parcel for sale, and then I perked this, would like to sell that as a building lot.
And then the remaining land is a second, no, third lot.
Right.
Required frontage is
Yes.
left, square footage as well.
So Lincoln Point Road is private way.
No, that's
No, it's public.
It says private now.
I know it's a town road. Do they?
Yeah, they
town
follow
The town maintains
it.
it, but I
Okay.
believe my deed and everything, I think it all says private.
Okay, all right.
So it's maintained by the town.
Yes.
And it's got adequate frontage and access.
Is that what we're seeing there? Is that your whole parcel?
Yep, he's creating 3 lots out of it.
Yes, this is the whole parcel that
And
I
you're taking,
purchased here.
okay.
I will say this, Kurt Meskis, I'm the zoning enforcement officer. I believe Lincoln Point is private, but it is open and passable to the public. I think there's a person I know who lives on it that has talked to me and the highway superintendent numerous times about the maintenance of the road. And they do minimal maintenance to the road, but they do plow it in the winter for emergency egress.
Okay. So it does provide suitable access.
I'd like to make a motion we approve the A&R plan.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Can I ask one quick question? Not, it won't appear the approval at all. With the added house lots, what would they have to do to make Lincoln Point a town road, thus getting it plowed better?
Well, not-
Have to bring the road up to town standards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very difficult and it's
Okay.
inexpensive. So it's not
Don't do
like we
that.
have, but
Okay, just curious. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
May 2nd. Yep.
you.
And then,
Hodge Stevens?
is this one for me as well?
No, that one's mine.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Stevens Park.
Okay.
I'm back.
Third time's a charm.
So Peter Howard Jr., remember? So the last time I was here, we did the interior lot line change to help Skip Bellevue get some access to his backland here. And all we're doing is changing an interior lot line. We kind of flipped our parcels. I was going to retain one of the non-buildables and he was getting the access piece. And we just kind of flipped so we wouldn't have to have driveway easements on each other. So he was going that way, I was going this way. And
So it's a cleaner,
it's just a little cleaner,
It's
yeah.
a really minor.
It's a very minor
adjustment.
change, but needed to kind of dot the i's and cross the t's.
didn't change any of the setbacks or frontages or anything.
No.
You reviewed it and it looks
Yes.
good.
Yep.
Make the motion in a second.
Second.
Review the
All in
before.
favor?
Aye.
They look better on this side, huh? They
Yeah.
If you're all ready.
Yeah, as long as there's not a lot of people.
Stephen? Step home.
Thank you.
This one's mine, right?
Yes. Thank you. Mr. James.
Oh, is that right?
You what?
Thanks again.
Thanks.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
one. Yeah.
Thank you.
Seaboard Solar?
Turner Road.
How's it going? Good.
Okay.
My name is Pedro Rodriguez. I'm representing Seaboard Solar. We're the project owners and also owners of the property.
Okay.
And we are doing A&R of the property. So the entire property was, this area right here. The solar array is located at lot 1, and we're dividing up parcel A and parcel B. None of them will be non-buildable, they're labeled that way. But lot 1 has all the required frontage and square footage to still compliance with the site plan approval that we already got. And so we can continue with construction.
So this is one of the ways you can protect the solar property. or the
Okay,
solar
gotcha.
field
From the
against
moratorium.
plans.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's, I think, the main purpose of this is showing two non-buildable lots that have area frontage.
Gotcha.
Labeled on the plan.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the plan.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. They didn't install it though.
Just approve this, so you know.
That's what you see off these.
I was just gonna ask that, is that, I figured there'd be a bunch of them on tonight. Yeah. You gotta do it.
Way around it.
I'm not against it. Exactly, exactly.
These can take registry of deeds to your court.
No, if it doesn't work, just give them a name.
Absolutely.
Maybe keep your copy.
Masonic Home.
That's supposed to say Masonic Home.
Yes.
Masonic Home Color.
Someone here for the Masonic Home plan?
Like Russian a little bit, huh?
I did notice a mistake on this plan. So there's two ways we could do it. We could, ask the applicant to come in next week with a correct plan. Or you could vote to approve it, and then I can send in the.
When is the next meeting?
The 16th.
That's really
So the only mistake on the plan is the assessment plan. It shows map 34 and should be map 34 here.
So we can make that kind of
Okay.
a stipulation, whatever.
Yes, I called him later in the day, got his voicemail, and he wasn't aware of it until late in the afternoon, so. But other than that, so the plan. This is a very large parcel, it's 246 acres. It's part of the Masonic Home property. So they're really just creating this new lot 8. The other lot 7A, becoming lot 7C.
Do they have a
It's
reason?
got furniture here. I'm not sure. We don't have a solar project approach to
They
that.
don't have a reason or anything?
No, they have the turbines.
I
Yeah.
think those fell off the earth.
Right,
Yeah, everybody hated those. Everybody was gonna get like brain damage and
Yes.
stuff from them.
but I think this was the turning they were gonna go in.
It was off Burlingame Road.
Yes, that's,
What's the
Burlingame
purpose of the plan?
That's exactly what I was gonna, what's the
The
purpose
purpose
of?
just says to create a new lot line within existing lot 7A, to create a new lot 7C and lot 8. So new lot 7C and new lot 8.
Does this make them buildable? I'm trying to understand why.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know the purpose of the plan.
No
Okay.
one's here to,
Correct.
We don't have.
they have the required frontage on Hall or Burlingame Road, do they have?
For an A and R, you
Correct,
don't.
correct,
you
all right,
don't.
gotcha, all right. They meet the criteria, it doesn't.
It may be as simple as some sort of land ownership trust
okay.
maneuver to deal with how they structure their real
Do they
estate
have,
holdings.
do they have approximately, you know, you may not say exactly if they wanted to?
I don't.
So this 7C has frontage on Masonic Home Road, 8. That's for the real estate here. So why they're doing it is
Yeah, we don't.
concerned.
No,
So I don't have an explanation as to what the real reason is behind it.
I don't see an issue with approving it.
Yeah, I'd
No,
like to make a
fine.
motion, we approve it, as long as the typo's squared away as far as the map, lot, going to the assessors map.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, so the authorized being signed.
Do we have to, we don't have to vote for that, right? You don't have to vote for the sign.
No, I have that for
All right, thank you so much. It's gonna be good because it's only right. Trying to stay on agenda 7. We're gonna have a little bit, a few more.
Yep.
So we can,
You want me to call Rain for renting?
is there something we can,
No, it's just a continuation.
This one's continued, and then I have this for you. For the other one.
okay. Rain for rent?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's all right. Sorry.
Okay, there's a lot of noise. Okay.
Can I switch seats now?
Doesn't mean you can't ask questions.
Okay.
Much better.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Again, good evening. My name is Andy Baum from Summit Engineering. I'm here on behalf of Rain for Rent, project applicant for a site plan review application. Last time we met, there was some outstanding items left with Graves. And then there was a lot of concern still regarding the screening along the front of the property, particularly of the loading area viewable from Putnam Road and Trolley Crossing. Just to refamiliarize yourself with the site. So this is the revised site plan you have in your package, I believe addresses a majority of your comments. What we've done, and you can see in this lighter gray area, is all the storage areas outlined. That came up with a subsequent percentage of outdoor storage area. That was a comment in Graves' letter. Secondary was the construction of this fence, how that would go together. What has changed on your plan set predominantly is it's about approximately 4 feet high of a block, segmented block wall on the back side with green space from the street line to the back of the walk on Trolley Crossing. There is a step down where it goes again to 2 feet along the whole edge. What you'll see from the road is approximately a 10 to 8 foot visual barrier, a solid visual barrier that will go on there. Rain for Rent itself has gone out to the site and put together some mock-ups of what that would look like. I don't know if anyone got a chance to see any photographs of it or see it when it was being done. I'll quickly walk through a few of these photographs for you. The benefit of them. That's just the back. So what you have right here, you're standing as you're approaching or right at the intersection of H. Putnam Road and Trolley Crossing. You can see here there's two sets of segmented blocks. They're about 2 feet tall apiece, and then they attached a piece of 6 foot stockade fence, and then they also parked a one of their, is this your largest tank? Yeah. It's their largest tank that they carry for their customers at the building. Now just keep in mind that this overhang that's in white is going to be demolished as shown on the site plans. So they tucked it back to try to mock where a tank would be parked on that portion of the building. As you can see, it's fully screened here. They pulled the tarp down just to mimic again what that slope would look like with the earth. Okay. This is farther down the street on Trolley Crossing. This is one segment of block, so it's about 2 feet plus a 6 foot stockade fence. This photograph, I think, is taken from about the center line of the pavement. And again, you can see, granted, there's not a tank behind it. I think there's a tank behind it, this particular one. But you can see you're looking at the top portion of the roof line, and even at the corner of the building on the L shape, you're seeing top. Now, again, keep in mind, this is from a person standing up. I think Greg took the picture, so he's 5'9", 5'10", for his eyesight view. In your application packet, I included a couple cross sections that you look at where we made the assumption of a vehicle driving by. So the AASHTO standard is 3.5 feet above pavement. Got that center line and did a projection of what that would be, so that these photographs really reinforce what we presented in that revised application package. Wow. Sorry. Need a projector up here. All right, we'll get through this. This is, again, another mock-up, 2 foot high block, a little bit farther down the road. and from a closer angle, so if you're almost walking along the walk, what you'd see. And as you can see, you're losing more and more of that roof line, so you're looking completely over the building from a skyline perspective. And this is probably, this is probably the worst perspective that you're going to see. Wow.
You can use just that, other people have before.
Okay.
Go out to the-
Yeah. I think it's covered in insurance. So this is the, this is probably the toughest space you're going to see. You're approaching H. Putnam Road and Trolley Crossing from a higher elevation. And you can see there's the tank here. And you can see with that two sets of segments that block, you're screening the tank in its entirety. The one thing any of these don't show is, I think I reiterated with the board before, was we're providing street trees. So as that canopy develops, you're still going to continue to see that breakup of the work area. Another thing that's difficult for us to show, just because of the grade that occurs here, there's about 3 or 4 foot change in grade from the corner of the pavement to the existing pavement. What will happen is this wall will project into that space here, almost below this flea market sign, and continue to screen that area here. And then also in the plans you'll see we provided some arborvitaes to continue growth behind the fence, so you get another green break on that. And then lastly, what was a comment regarding some pine trees we spec'd along the H. Putnam Road side. Again, when we walked the site with Graves, really, so the intent of that was really just to find the weak spots along that pavement. There's quite a bit of vegetative screening here that exists. The intent is not to remove it, but just to continue to embellish it. So those are the major changes of the plans. There were some comments regarding the placement of markers. I think Bill had a comment here. Markers are keeping the tank straight. So this is their temporary storage yard on Route 56 in Leicester. I'm not sure how many tanks are there. Right now they're about 4 tanks deep. There are some various sizes in there. But you can see they're all pretty linear. Whatever driver came in first, set the line, and then they continue to put it in place. So that's a 4 deep alignment. And you can see right here there's about 9 or 10, 12 tanks wide. So that's the intent of that back storage area. Located on the rear of the site, the gravel area. This gravel block down here. So it's slightly tapered, but the intent is the driver should be able to make those alignments and keep it in a neat, orderly fashion. Those are the highlights that we took from the predominant grades. We did go out and just do some hand dig testing on the gravel and found it was sufficient in all those areas. I'm making some top dressing, but the basal gravel there is in good condition and compacted. And with that, do you have any questions?
Do you have any questions? I do, as a matter of fact. I love the fence, love the new proposal. Wood tends to break down after a number of years and tends to look rotted. Would Rainfront be willing to do vinyl instead of wood as far as that upper second level of fencing?
Yeah, so we spoke with Rain for Rent, and they're okay with making that a vinyl fence.
Fabulous, because that's easier to clean, the rain will wash it naturally. Thank you.
You're talking the vinyl, what you showed before with the wood on top of the
Yes.
cement would
So-
now be vinyl on top of the
Correct.
cement.
They willing to do that.
Yeah, so
They're
that way
willing
it
to
doesn't
do
break
vinyl.
down.
Willing to do vinyl.
Yes.
But the concrete, what was there, that's going to be there, and then what you were showing was the
Yeah.
simulated dirt going up?
Yeah,
to
they
it?
were trying to
Okay.
make a simulation because what you'd see on this is a pretty good photograph of that because it's nice and tall.
Yes.
They're trying to show the intent of filling that with some soil and topsoil and then grass. So this is the fall condition right here.
Now, if it, on that picture, where were the trees? You're talking about the.
Sure. I mean, they're approximately 50 feet on center. So let's see, this one is right. There's an edge of pavement that comes across here. So there'd actually be one right in here and around this post. Be one, there's another one that comes up on the corner, and then 50 feet subsequently. So it deals with 10 feet apart. And have another one right here.
And that would be behind the chain link fence?
They're in front of it.
In front of the chain link fence.
Now, is all you're proposing on AF Putnam or H Putnam just tree plantings? Or are you proposing any kind of screening?
So
I know there's existing
there's
growth.
There's an existing chain link fence
Yep,
in there.
yes.
So the only thing, and I didn't bring it up to a, we're turning the corner approximately 20 feet in this direction
Yep,
with the fence,
yep.
and then continue on with the chain link fence. The
Okay.
vegetation in there is pretty thick. Felt that we're trying to get in there to remove a chain link fence might be more disruptive than advantageous.
Questions from the audience, please? Can we open?
Yeah, first I have to ask.
State- I'm sorry, can you please
Norman
state your
Dugas,
name?
H. Putnam Road Extension. Has any member of the board been to their plant in Oxford?
All of us.
You've seen it?
Yes.
Yeah, we've seen the pictures.
Yep.
All right. That's a very nice picture of the one that they've got in Leicester. Everything lined up neat and dandy. It is an absolute dump in Oxford. I don't think any member of the planning board would want that across from them, or even in their town. Never mind being across from your property. It's unbelievable. I used to drive, I used to work, in fact, I worked for Ronnie. And you go to United Rental. They're in Shrewsbury. Everything is neat and tidy. It is, they come in with street plates, they're dropped over here. They come in with whatever, but everything is dressed right and covered down. In Oxford, that is an absolute dump. I was up there last week and I couldn't believe it. And I said, they're absolutely proposing this for the town of Charlton. I don't know. I just can't see it.
We understand. We've all been up there at least once, and it was determined to be an allowed use. So all we can really do is try to protect the neighbor. That's what we're here for, to try to do everything we can to protect the neighbors, the neighborhood, the feel for up there. Believe me, I sat on the original master plan committee, and it kind of breaks my heart because I wanted that to be part of the whole downtown. And I get it, but it was determined in allowed use, and here we really have to determine, knowing that it is an allowed use, make the best decisions up here to have it be as nice as it can be.
I can tell you.
Then my question then would be to go back to Howlett, when he moved into town. I sat with Curryville, and he showed me the plans. It was going to be cobblestone streets and English lantern lighting, and I said, geez, that's great. We're going to have, we might as well have something that looks decent. Well, you saw what turned out. You could have Cedar Junction there if you had razor wire on top of the fence. I just hope, if this has to go through, that you're going to stay and make him keep his feet to the fire with this fence, and everything is going to be hunky-dory, because I've just seen it. It doesn't happen.
And I can echo your concerns. I actually work directly across the street. I mean directly across the street, which is why the fencing is so important to us. Although I will not be voting, it's very important that it look nice. And as the planning board, we can't not bring it into town. It has already been, as Patsy said, an allowed use. What we can do is make it look nice. And I, more than anybody else who will be looking at it every single day, would like it to look nice. So, and we have to believe that they're going to do what they say they will, because if everybody walks in here, if we assume that they're lying, then we might as well not even have any of these plans, because they're going to forbid it. And I can completely understand your concerns, because it's big. But based on these plans, which we will enforce, and they have promised to play by the rules, and we do believe them, we do have to make it look as nice as possible. And I truly feel, if you look at these pictures, that they've done that. And the nice thing is, if they don't do exactly as they say, parking them exactly, you won't see it anyway because the fencing will be so high.
Oh, yeah, okay. That tells me a lot right there.
Can you guys answer if it's gonna be a white or a brown, what color vinyl fence it's gonna be? I'm just opening it for discussion if there's, if
Would it cost extra to do beige, which would kind of blend in a little bit?
it stays cleaner.
We don't inspect the color at all, but
This is
I'm-
why we're
I'm
here.
just-
vinyl
I'm
fence, I
just trying
think,
to
is
make everything
probably,
kind of flow.
we go into a, distributor and they have white vinyl, we'll get white vinyl. They have beige, we'll get beige.
Promise you anything, give you our page, right?
I'm just saying vinyl.
Legally
yes.
one, as long as it's black.
We don't tell you what.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess, do any of the neighbors on H Pond have any concern with any screening? I know there's existing vegetation.
Do we have any more comments, questions?
Okay, so once the audience gets done, I have a couple.
So it doesn't seem like we have any more. We can-
So-
Can I just,
Go ahead.
Kurt Meskis, Building Commissioner, Zoning Enforcement Officer. The first question is the chain link fence being removed along that street line?
On H. Putnam Road?
No, on,
This?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And I sent you, Andy, and a couple other people a comment that there's a couple of divots in the sidewalk that look like drainage channels. Now, this, of course, predates a lot of stormwater management, but it very much appears that drainage from the street goes into that parking lot.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name over there. Greg, sorry. I spoke to Greg, show him, because I happened to come upon the simulation. I thought it was a wonderful idea and pointed that out to him. So I forwarded that comment on to you folks so that maybe some sort of tunnel or something would be there. Because if we fill that in solid, now we're going to have a backup on the road.
Yeah, so what we'll have to do is, just like you suggested, let's put some, there's two cuts in the sidewalk where the water's draining. The bank actually, where one of the members works, the plow guy actually pushes all the snow up against the fence there right across the street. So, we'll have to put in some piping to allow the water for now until Trolley Crossing gets some drainage into the low points.
is that something that Graves mentioned or anything in the report that I don't remember?
Well, they've done a very thorough stormwater evaluation, and I believe all those issues have been addressed. Graves is satisfied with the stormwater plan. And I guess I would also say that, this has undergone a very thorough review.
Oh, yes.
It's very thorough report hearing. Voice had a lot of comments and has taken a lot of testimony from the public. I think Andy and Greg have done a good job in terms of responding to the issues and have done as good a job as they could in terms of making the site as presentable as possible and keeping it organized and neat. So I'm not sure there's much more that we can ask at this point.
Gee, did you have something to ask?
Motion before I just. When we first discussed this and we were all made aware that this is an approved use. There was something after when the building permit is issued, there are so many days to.
So I think what you're referring to is that it is the zoning enforcement officer's job to determine whether or not it's an allowed use, which I have indicated repeatedly it is. That there is no local appeal to the issuance of the site plan. However, there would be an appeal at the potential for an appeal at the time a building permit was issued or a certificate of compliance was requested. Well, they're going to need a building permit to, do the modifications to the building and such. So that just is making the public aware of when the appropriate time, if someone was to appeal it.
And you issued the building permit,
Yes,
right?
I do.
But it's after it goes through this.
It has to go through this process. The standard conditions will be written into your
Right.
decision. Notice to proceed will have to be issued by the planning board after Graves does his meet and greet out on the site. Once that notice to proceed is issued, you know, anytime they're free to bring in plans, because I like to be accommodating, but we have to, you know, do these procedural
Right.
steps. And I have a certain amount of time to review plans, and issue or deny the building permit for whatever causes that might be deniable. Fire department gets to chime in because there's fire protection systems in the building. I'm doing that concurrently for the fire department, as you saw. And we've had some discussions with the architects and engineers about all those systems already, so we've had a preliminary technical meeting on the project.
Okay, so after the notice to proceed, and now at that point, you,
Sometime after the notice to proceed, I can issue the building permit.
okay. And the fire suppression system, that has to be sprinklered, right?
Yes, it does.
And is that dependent upon water, on getting water onto,
To get an occupancy permit for that building and that use, the sprinkler system would have to be functional.
And there's water up there. Is the boats contaminated up there?
not on Charlie Cross?
Yes, there is.
Is there
So,
water?
a little outside of this, all right, is that this group and a couple other owners of property along in Trolley Crossing are working together
Okay.
to put a water line into that, because there are other properties that are doing work that also need sprinkling, so
Okay.
they of their own free will
So
have
they're doing this,
and they're working with water and sewer, whatever regulations or whatever that has to do to go that forward. But it's been a very good collaborative effort amongst the various owners up there to help everyone.
Do we need to close the public hearing? Do I have a motion to,
any, just make sure nobody else has this.
I'm doing a motion to close the public hearing. So
Second.
Oh, that's right. I can close
So
the public
moved.
hearing, but I can't.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
A whole bunch of conditions, right?
Pretty much the standard conditions, I think. We addressed all of the issues that you've asked them to, so I don't think
Yep.
there's any unique conditions we need to.
Well, how about, could we have one for no storage of any tanks until the fence is erected?
What?
No storage of any tanks until the fence is erected.
Sure.
And erected and signed off by the building inspector.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to approve with conditions?
I'd like to make a motion we approve with the conditions along with Graves Engineering report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you.
Yeah, that's why. So I just wanted to see if you could. I wrote that.
Because in here it said cedar, natural cedar finish, and maybe she's closer to that. Right, but
I
as
didn't
far as
want to
color.
jack that way, it lasted 3 years. I do think it's,
Looks nice to me.
yeah,
It's
right.
really
Yeah.
nice.
Do you think right notice for the boards?
Do you have a sign in, Jane, for this? I didn't see it.
It was
It's on the second row.
Yeah. Clipboard?
No,
Oh,
clipboard's
I see.
on the
I see
seat.
what you're saying.
are you in charge of this?
Somebody else.
She's very good at it,
Oh, I'm
so.
not, I actually watched her on TV the other night, she was right there.
I like to keep things moving.
I finally found out what the public access television station is.
Isn't it great?
I want more action.
You're on live TV.
No, you're right. Oh, yours. Service Road.
That's not gonna
I'm
improve
supposed
the
to start reading
revenue.
this on, right? I'm supposed to start reading this on.
Yeah.
Being past 7:30, I'd like to read the notice. In accordance with section 200-7.1 and 200-7.2 of the Charlton zoning bylaw, the Charlton Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, May 2nd, 2018 at 7:30 on the application of Otis Land Management LLC, 100 Sturbridge Road, Charlton, Mass. 01507 for a site plan approval to construct a bulk oil storage facility, garage and office on the property located at 100 Sturbridge Road, Charlton, Mass., known as Assessors Map 30, Block D, Lots 5 and 5.5. Said property contains approximately 16 acres and is zoned industrial general IG.
Ralph Nichols from Otis Land Management, and Jay Du Bois is the engineer on this, and he's in conservation.
Okay, so we got 2 review letters. One from Kurt, so I'll let him address those, just kind of if he likes. We just got in the peer review report from Graves today, so.
Okay.
You haven't had a chance to review that yet.
Yep.
There are a number of comments here, many of them minor in nature, but I would like to point out a couple of the significant issues here. Do you have a copy of the Graves letter?
Yep.
Number 3, proposed project must comply with the bylaw frontage and area requirements or the functional equivalent thereof. It does not appear that this issue has been addressed or discussed in the application, so I think we need to clarify that there are conformance to the zoning conventional standards. So we ask Jay Du Bois to clarify that for us. Under number 4, when you met with Ralph and Jay prior to the formal submission, we discussed that the existing site driveway that provides access to the site should be delineated where it opens into the parking area of the existing site. So maybe we should open up this proposed.
This one, we'll go to another one. See what the next one is. Pretty much the same. This one you all look
No,
at?
that's, I think, this one is good,
Okay.
the whole site, so, can you flip over the other one?
The one before?
Yeah. So I think where it comes up from, Route 20, we wanted to have the delineation of the road clearly shown where it, provides access to the remaining property. So it might be saying that doesn't quite
You mean right here where it comes up?
Right.
This is where it comes up.
Yeah.
This is the existing catch basin right now. This is the proposed one that we're gonna put in to handle all the water from here.
Yeah. So
Okay,
it's,
so this is kind of a driveway right now.
Right, so we
Okay.
want to be able to show where it goes through the existing paved
Okay,
area.
yep.
Show that. more
Okay, show
clearly.
that on the plan.
Yep.
Okay, that's not a problem.
Okay.
Yep.
Number 5, during the pre-application meeting, it was discussed that the internal lot lines would be eliminated, where the site plan still shows them, the applicant's intent is unclear. So we talked about making this like an industrial park with several buildings rather than individual lots. So that comes into play later on number 9, which says that the building setback lines are presumed to be measured from the overall exterior of the property and not the lot lines themselves. So if you don't remove the lot lines, there are some setback issues here that it doesn't comply with. But if we assume that the setback is measured from the exterior lot line, it would be okay. So we need some clarification as to how to measure the setback lines if we keep the internal lot lines in place.
Which we had discussed that we were going to remove.
Right.
You know,
Right.
once we got, planning board on board with this,
Right.
that we would remove them and then we'd just go from the,
That's what we
Yep,
said, yeah. But it's
exactly.
still showing the lot line, so.
we have, because we wanted to show you where they were right now,
Okay.
because we haven't officially removed them.
Mhm.
But if you approve this and say, yes, this is
Okay.
good, then we will go forward with getting all the engineering done to remove them for the next meeting or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 12, the bylaw requires one parking space for every 500 square feet of floor area, which results in a calculation of 20 spaces and only 13 are proposed. So we need to show the existing spaces. Number 17, that the zoning for this IG district requires a 100-foot wide landscape buffer between the R40 district. Since where it abuts R40, it doesn't appear to comply with 100-foot buffer, so that would need to be shown. 18, we're questioning whether a traffic report is necessary for this project, and leave it to your discretion. Doesn't seem like it's going to generate a great deal of traffic from this, but if you want a traffic report, it could require it.
I mean, it's our personal use anyways, and we've been using it, so there's no more impact than what we've already been doing.
All the drainage and hydrology sections are kind of more engineering related, so I think your engineer can address those
Sure.
graves. Under 36, the general engineering comment, Mike was concerned that the bituminous curb that is to remain between the existing and proposed paved lots could be destroyed by truck traffic and snow plowing operations, which could then lead to stormwater from the proposed site to enter the existing southerly car carrier parking lot. Mike believes it would be more practical to propose a landscape island to separate the lots rather than just an asphalt berm.
Okay, in this area?
Yeah.
Is that, yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have a entrance over here, so we'll just pitch it back or something, you know what I mean? So the water stays on our property,
Right.
on this back property.
Where,
Yeah.
So where is the bituminous curb now?
Right here.
Right there, okay.
Yeah,
So-
it's right where the lights are. And I think we were,
the thought is
because
to-
we, right here is gonna be like an apron coming into this, so we'll have to pitch it, you know what I mean, one way or the other to this structure. You know, because the trucks are gonna come in and then pull into this garage here.
So I think you can work with Mike
Yeah,
on
yeah, just to
proper
to
solution to-
retain the water on this
Right.
lot into this detention pond.
Correct, right.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think, rather than just a berm which could be destroyed by snow plowing.
Yeah, of course.
To put in more of a landscape feature there. So those are the main comments. 41, the engineer shall consider the use of a guardrail on the portion of the driveway that abuts the proposed detention basin. Put a guardrail in the detention basin. The rest were more minor engineering kind of comments.
So you just you're doing the oil bulk storage, is pretty much what you're doing for the business?
Yes, yeah, for Charlton Oil, and putting up a couple of garages to park the oil trucks.
Yep.
And stuff.
Okay.
Because of the cold temperatures that we had this year was just brutal.
Yep,
You know,
absolutely.
and we have a permit in place for 169 now.
Yep.
But it's just so consolidated down there, and we've kind of outgrown it.
Yep.
So they're saying, this is the place to have it where we have room to always expand if we needed to,
So strictly oil bulk that you're looking to do? Or
And propane.
Okay, and propane.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
these are
All right.
propane.
Okay,
right here.
gotcha.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly, yeah.
I will say your site on 169 looks phenomenal. It's clean, it's neat, it's very nice to the eye.
Thank you. I try to keep it up,
Kurt had some comments as well about the storage
Bill,
facility.
could you just lend me your copy
Yeah.
of it so that I make sure I cover all the things? Sorry. I made a comment about some numbering issues just so as we progress through the project that we number the buildings appropriately for emergency response. I made a comment about the clutter of the multiple layers on the plans. I spoke to Jason the other day when he was here about that, about there's just like too many layers, and he's invested in some new technology so he can proof the plans before he ships them off to us. Another note about green communities and efficient lighting, that's just a comment. There's a comment about the 8-inch water line that's shown there. They've They've shown a water line, a hydrant out at the street, which is very appropriate, and a hydrant at the very rear of the property, but as speaking for the fire department, that hydrant at the rear of the property is beyond the hazard, as he would say, so that's not a good location. I spoke to Jason about that directly yesterday. There's nothing shown on the plans. I do have some aerial photos that, you know, are available, Google and stuff. There's at times a lot of car carriers there. It might be a little congested. Wanted to clean up the plan a little bit and show where those parking areas are for circulation of emergency equipment. Some maneuvering clearances for the apparatus, and then just getting ahead for the applicants. There are a number of requirements in the building code about building separation distance and building type, and I'm referring him to an appropriate design professional to flush those out so we make sure that we deal with the buildings properly. We did have a meeting with Ralph's fuel specialist, I'll call him, and went over all of that, but there's some issues that I'm concerned about, that when you get your architect, or the sooner you get your architect.
On the fuel end or the
No,
building?
on the two buildings.
Okay, and that will be Sean Pepper.
Okay.
From DR Poolin.
That's fine.
That did the front building, so.
That's fine,
he'll
but
address
you know,
anything
you're
that
putting,
need.
the main concern is that you're putting trucks that are full of fuel in a building.
Yep,
And there's some question about how we aggregate those numbers.
yep. They don't necessarily be full, you know what I mean,
Well,
because we
but-
do have the bulk plant there.
Yeah,
And it's more for, you know, overnight storage
Right.
of the trucks and repairs, you know what I'm saying?
I
Yeah.
understand that, but the code assumes that they're full.
Yep,
Okay, even though you say they're gonna be empty, the code is
right,
assuming
they
they're full.
possibly could be, exactly.
So that's that, and I did ship that off to Jason. You got that email, right, Jay?
Yep.
Okay, and Mike Andrade, and of course copies to you folks here. Thank you for your time. Here, Bill.
Bill, do we have a copy of the grade report for Jason?
I got it.
Oh, you got it already?
It
Okay.
came
all
out
right.
today.
Yeah, no,
Mike
okay.
apologized,
No.
he's been flat out with
That's
other
all right.
work, so
Yeah,
we
no
just
problem.
got
I just want to
finished
change all
today.
the paper, so they're all on the same page, so we can address whatever needs to be addressed.
Any questions? Comments?
Wasn't there work that had to be done on the property? Is that all done?
It's a different parcel, different parcel. That's Brick Road.
Mr. Nichols has another project in town that is separate from this.
This is not that.
This is not that parcel.
Totally separate. This is down near the car dealership. It's a few miles further down. Yeah, they don't have bought.
Okay. I was just curious, above ground or below ground tanks?
Above.
Okay, inside?
Inside a diked-in area, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no roof over them, because that's due to code, just a roof over the loading area.
Area.
Yeah, where we'll be loading and unloading to fill these tanks, they're 3 50,000 gallon tanks.
350,000.
Yep,
Yeah, they pour like a big concrete in the ground.
dike
Oh,
area,
yeah.
yep.
Like a tub, basically. Yeah.
How many trucks a day do you anticipate coming in, refueling,
I own 12 trucks myself, so.
once a day or twice a day? Or?
They do anywhere from 2 to 3 loads a day, you know, depending on temperature, cold. Right now, we go just through them, polishing, cleaning, so right now it's
So
not
it'd be
very
30
busy.
30 to 40
Yep,
during the course of the day?
Yep.
Something like that?
yeah, sure.
Your tractor trailers are gonna be there too?
Yes,
Everything's gonna be?
yes. We're gonna move off of 169, except for the office right now,
Okay.
because that's easier for people to come and
Yep.
and go and convert, you know what I mean? And then just move our trucks up here, because we just feel it's easier for our trucks to have access in and out of Route 20 than how we've been doing it down on 169. It was all good, and then, you know, over the last 5 years, things have grown, more trucks. We put lighting in, we put, you know, charges in, we've done all kinds of things down there, and
As far as lighting on here, I mean, it's not gonna bother anybody, right?
No.
In the middle of
I
nowhere.
assume it needs to be,
Right. No, it's all woods.
I assume
Yeah.
it needs to be well lit though, right, at night?
Yes,
Yeah.
it
Safety
is.
purposes.
And with the
Very
new
well.
LED today, you get, you know what I mean, some good
Will they
lighting.
shield it
Yeah,
to prevent night trespassing in the night sky?
yeah, you'll never get them to Route 20, you know what I mean?
But we don't want a big glow in the night sky from this project. We
Yeah.
like it, like.
No,
it
no,
being
yeah, they're gonna be
on
shining
the
down.
side, so they'll be
You know what I mean?
shielded,
Yeah,
so that they shine down.
yeah, yeah.
And how many little trucks? Not little trucks,
12.
House,
Yeah, 12 6-wheelers approximately, and then 3 propane trucks, so.
And for deliveries from the suppliers, how those potential trucks?
Yeah, we own our own.
Oh, you
So,
own your own
yep, so
transport.
so we'll be doing all our own fueling, yeah.
Okay.
The only thing that we do not own is a fuel truck that will be filling the propane.
Okay.
Yeah. But this is all self-contained, and all the equipment that you see is on 169.
you have trailer dumps down there also, don't you?
Yep,
Okay, those be coming up here too?
yeah. Yeah. They're actually up there now, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Because because this is all parking lot right here. This is all Jack Cooper, the car carriers. So there's probably 30 tractor trailers in here now, you know what I mean?
Are they gonna be there all
Oh
the
yeah,
time?
that's up front.
Okay.
See, this is Jack Cooper up here with car carriers all here, and then there's a machine shop way up here that I own. So these are two 12,000 square foot buildings just before the Pontiac dealership.
Right.
Okay, so you never see this, you know what I mean? You gotta drive in this road and then come out back here to this, you know what I mean?
There's a plan that shows all.
Yeah.
Actually, can you see?
Do you have a full program?
No,
So-
yeah.
So this is Route 20, and then this is the machine shop, which is Miller Products. Then this is Jack Cooper back here, okay? And then we're way back here. So this is a driveway that comes right up through here, okay? And it's gonna stub in here. So back here is all already diagonal parking, fire lanes out through here, that's all been striped. We try and maintain that every other year, having it restriped.
That's all blacktop?
Yeah, that's all asphalt. Yep, yep,
Nice.
yep, this is all grass up here, grass over here, that's the 3 stone walls that I got there. And then up here, there's some islands around here with some trees and shrubbery, and trees and shrubbery up the side there.
Where's
So,
like the nearest house close to
it
you?
would be Mr.
Right
Jones,
across the street.
yep, over here, yep.
On the
Right
other
next
side
to,
of 20?
on the other side of 20 to White Rock. And
Okay.
then you got John McNeely that sold me the plant, that sold me the land,
Mhm.
all the way back, and he's over here on the water.
Okay.
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 Yep, that little pond, you know. Yep. So, and this is JSL back here, which is the asphalt plant, and then you got AMRAC next to that. So, you know.
Any problems, hazardous waste with the pond?
No, we're
You're
yeah,
back
we're
up?
down low, and that's way away. Yep.
Okay.
Now, you need state and local permits anyway? for-
Yes, this, Bob Cluccio is the fire bulk plant specialist that Mr. Miskus was talking about. He will go through the state fire marshal, local fire department, get all the necessary approvals. Then, once we're approved here, we can go to the selectmen and then ask for the permit to be transferred or discontinued at 169 and transferred over to there.
Yep.
So, I mean, this is a lot safer place for traffic and as water. We do have the river behind us on 169, which it was all approved for there. It's just there's no room. You know, there's no room for expansion. And, you know, Charlton Wood Oil has been doing great and growing and, you know what I mean? This is really necessary.
So really, you're not, from your current operation, you're not, not, at this time, you're not really expanding, you're just moving.
Exactly.
Just moving to a better space.
Except for the office.
You're right.
The office is gonna stay there because
It's very little
yeah,
convenient,
exactly,
yes.
you're right. They like to come in there
It's
and be on
easier.
169 and it's not as busy as Route 20.
And things be more efficient.
Yeah.
Do we have a place for snow removal and
Yep.
trash and I?
Right next to the thing, we got snow storage right in here.
Perfect.
So, yeah, the snow storage are down basically all on here and on the side.
And what, dumpsters?
I guess we can talk about it again.
Yeah, we'll put a dumpster in because I'm a neat freak
Sure.
anyway, so. You know, right now we share Jack Cooper's dumpster that's up here, right up here. So anything that, any papers, debris, always going to that dumpster. GHM has a dumpster too. I clean it, Boyko mows it and everything. I'm the one that plows it, I'm the one that watches all the curbings, I'm the one that takes care of everything, picks the trash, make sure that it's, you know, neat.
Does the board feel like a traffic study would be useful for this project?
I lean toward it only due to the size of the vehicles. I mean, we're not talking cars or anything, we're talking tractor
We're
trailers.
talking trip generation. which
Yeah,
seems
It
low.
could get a little dicey there if he's,
Maybe-
thank God if you're really busy, you're gonna be making more trips.
Well, the only question I have is, on his previous, of course, you do site plan for the machine shop and the other storage building.
Yeah.
Was there one ever done for that?
No.
There's never a traffic study done for that?
You know, we take, you know what I mean, we're very careful out there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Car carriers have been there for, over 10 years, we don't have accidents, you know what I mean? I am very on top of that, you know? If Mr. Jones has any issues, he calls me up in regards to
Yeah, I
car
don't-
carriers, anything.
I don't call
right
the
on it.
police, I call Ralph and wake him up. And as far as I know, there was one accident with the car carriers, where a car carrier pulled out in front of a lady at 4 o'clock in the morning as I was getting in my car to go to work, and she hit her. I don't know what happened of that, she was injured, but that's the only accident since he's been there that I've seen. And to me, that's not horrible.
So they're going in and out, and how many trips a day I use? See, in the middle of the winter,
Right.
it's zero. What is your?
12 trucks, 3 trips a day, so 36 trips per day. You know what I mean?
That's your max. So
That's the trucks are coming in because they go out, it takes them 3-4 hours to get unload an oil truck going house to house to house to house. You know, because they, you know, average anywhere from 30 stops per stop, because everybody orders 100 gallons today, nobody's filling it. So in years past, it used to be 15 stops per truckload, because everybody was filling 180, 200 gallons. So now it's, everybody's ordering 100 gallons, so you're getting 30 stops per day, you know what I mean, out of a truck. A truck only does, you know, 45 stops.
We're just talking about that one
Correct.
coming in and going.
But that's that's what I'm trying to say. That one truck, you know, when I say he does 3 loads, that's on an extreme. You know what I mean? Because you can't get that many stops done per driver. I mean, I really wish they could, but you know, it just doesn't happen.
Right.
So, I mean, really, realistically, you know what I mean? 24 times, you know what I mean? If they came in and loaded twice, you know what I'm saying? Came back at the end of the day, that's what I was figuring, 3 trips back, you know what I mean?
I don't
So-
really think it's necessary. I think that the car carriers are already going back and forth.
That's what
And,
if
I
you're
mean, they're
talking
doing
a
it on
couple
169 already, and we're not adding a business, we're simply moving a business. So you guys know how to drive your trucks.
Right. Even if you were telling me 100 right now, what do you think?
I mean, I went to the asphalt plant 3 times today. I mean, pulling out of there, even the asphalt, I know it's further up from his driveway right now, the site distance is fine. And Treehouse was open today too.
Yes, it
You had
was.
people blowing U's and stuff like that, so
Right.
I don't think there's a
Yeah, I
necessity.
think
I
the
don't
trip
think-
generation ones that I didn't know about.
I don't think it's
access.
necessary. How do you?
How many tractors do you have? Big
4.
4?
Yeah.
And trailers?
4 to go with them, yeah. Yeah.
And how many trips do they make a day?
4 to 5.
Each one?
No, total.
Total.
Yeah, 50,000 gallons a day. Yeah. So and they leave 2 a.m.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they got to be down. You know, most of the time we're actually leaving at around 4 because we're trying to get down in Providence for 6. So we're beating the traffic coming down, and you know it's all time. And like I had said, if it's brutally cold, we might have to leave earlier. You know what I mean? 2 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? Because I can never tell
Right.
if there's a shortage of fuel in Rhode Island where we're chasing the fuel.
Yeah.
And that's basically why I have 4. I only
Right.
run really 2 to make my trips back and forth, okay? But if a truck breaks, anything needs work, maintenance, we're very stringent on that kind of stuff. We try and keep up, we work on them all summer long so that they're in tip-top shape to run all winter long, you know?
Anything else? Or?
No, I think in terms of having, you know, Jay address Mike's comments,
Right.
um,
Yes.
see what they come back with and go for another peer review round.
Mhm.
Any comment?
Any comment from the public?
Yes. My name's Larry Jones. I live across the street from Ralph. I talk to him all the time.
What is the actual address, because it's gonna be.
89 Sturbridge Road. I mean, right across the street. You know, the things I spoke with Ralph about was, you know, trucks running all night, you know, in and out of there, because my wife doesn't sleep too good and I get up early. And he basically said the same thing he said to you. That's the exception rather than the rule. You know, I talked to him about how the containment's gonna be over there, because you do have wetlands there. I mean, the pond, yes, is a little bit further away, but as Ralph knows, when the sewer project was done and they collapsed the drain under the road and Route 20 was closed, he and I were the first ones out there. And it goes by there, but if you're gonna do it right, it shouldn't really matter.
Right.
You know, quite honestly. And to answer your question, it's wicked bright over there. If you can't, if those guys coming in and out can't see something, they're blind. Honest to God. And for the most part, all his drivers, I got no problem with at all. Some of the car carriers, the previous people that were in there were horrible. But it's not them that I'm worried about. It's the idiots from the brewery.
Yep.
Because, yeah, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Route 20 there, but you're just low enough, and you come up the top, and there's these people stopped in the left lane trying to make a U-turn. That's gotta stop. It's gonna happen, somebody's gonna die. There's already been at least 10 accidents. I personally sit out in my driveway on a Saturday when they open and watch all the stupidity that goes on up there. I mean, I've had them pull into my driveway and yell at my wife to get out of the way. And now they're doing the same thing in Ralph's driveway. That's a big problem. I mean, because all these guys are driving basically 100,000-pound bullets. And the people in the little four-wheelers do not pay attention. And, you know, it's not Ralph's guys or the oil trucks or any car carriers. It's the people that jam right in front of them. And they can't stop a vehicle that big, that fast. You know, I just want you to be aware of that. You know, I mean, we never received any paperwork for the brewery to go over there when they were gonna be doing this, or I would have brought it up then. But I mean, I talked to Ralph, you know, luckily, I happened to be at the post office and they had sent my notification for this meeting back before it was time. So I never got it. That's why I called Ralph to ask him what was going on.
Thank you for being a good neighbor.
Well, that's what it's all about.
I'm honest,
You know, I mean, he's not a bad guy. You know, us guys, we all
On
do.
camera, seeing now, if any here.
Us guys, we do stupid things sometimes, but for the most part, as a business, I got no problems.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We want to continue,
Yes.
do we
So-
have a date? Do you?
Jay, how long will, I don't know if you've seen Mike's,
Yeah, I
there were quite a few comments, how long will it take you to make those corrections?
I mean, I can shoot to get it to him by next Wednesday. I'll ride. If you rush, you know, and you don't get it all done, and now you're gonna go out another 2 weeks, you'd be better off.
We are like so swamped.
Yes.
So unless you're on a rush,
June 6th meeting, so
we
it's
would be really.
June 6th would make us very happy.
May-
June 9th,
I think May 16th would be better than June 6th. Can you get it done in a week or so?
Get back to Mike by Wednesday.
All right, make a motion to continue the 16th on that.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
This is, yes.
This is your copy.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
yours. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, sir.
Sure, no problem. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Don't worry about that.
I'll keep down.
So, yes, I know. So the public hearing for 0 Point Development is like continued to June 6th? Per the applicant's request.
He's the property owner. Fine with that? You have a question about that? Okay, all right.
I was informed of that. They're supposed to be here for the next
Oh, the subdivision. All right.
The subdivision?
No.
We're gonna.
Do you have the Coburn?
So we
Nope.
have a
We'll do
couple
both
of,
of them.
plans to
Coburn,
accept.
Coburn, okay.
That's all right.
So the next item is just a simple submission of a plan. There's no action required or even, much discussion involved. It's just the subdivision regulations state that a plan, the clock starts ticking when a plan is submitted at a meeting of the board. So this plan is the formal submission to the board of a definitive subdivision plan, which we'll have a public hearing for. We tentatively scheduled that for June 6th. So this is the property, it's 107 Colburn Road, where a solar farm is being proposed in it on the same lot as the residence of Mr. Stevens. And the zoning requires that there be either each project on a separate lot, or that the one lot have the functional equivalent of two lots. And the lot does not meet that standard, so the proposal is to create a second lot with a new roadway shown that would provide the frontage off of the new cul-de-sac for both lots, so that would make each lot conform and allow the solar project to go forward. And as part of this project, they're requesting a lot of waivers from the subdivision regs. It's really only going to serve the solar project, which has very minimal use, and then the single-family home, which also has minimal use. So they're going to be asking for a lot of waivers. So we'll discuss that at the hearing.
So this is just a formality type
So we
thing?
make a motion to accept it.
Yes.
So,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The old Worcester
we'll see
Road.
on June 6th.
I just wanna tell this guy I appreciate him getting back to me on a
Okay.
phone call.
All right.
Got you.
I appreciate that. I've
Okay.
better luck with you than some of the others.
Chelten Orchards.
What?
Chelten Orchards.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is that the plan?
Charlie Orchards, I think that's on the end cap.
Thank you.
That's one on the end.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, hang on. There's a big pile, I'll put that. Okay.
Is this all to the solar one? It's all the solar one too, right?
Yeah. Oh, no, that one. Is that really? At least this was resolved.
Something else up there, doing the solar.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we better watch out for. Yeah, we need to.
Yeah.
This is a preliminary subdivision plan as opposed to a definitive plan. And this is being submitted as a result of a solar moratorium.
Yeah.
So that they can gain protection from the prohibition or the moratorium on solar facilities for a year. And one of the ways you can do that is by submitting a preliminary plan to the planning board prior to the zone change. So again, it's a formality to submit it to you at a meeting of the planning board so that you can accept it, so that they have the official way of gaining protection. What they're proposing here is a short cul-de-sac dividing the existing lot into two lots, each with access and frontage off of the proposed preliminary plan. I don't know whether they're actually going to go ahead and build the definitive plan
Is there an intent on it?
or get the definitive plan approved. But at this point, this is really just for the purpose of gaining the protection from the solar.
Okay, what's the difference, because the last one we just did was a definitive, and this one here is preliminary.
Right.
So
So you can gain protection
either way?
by switching it either way. The preliminary plan is only good for 7 months. So if they haven't started their project by then, they would need to file a definitive plan.
Starting their project
By
meaning
getting the
coming.
building permit from the building commissioner.
So preliminary, you
having-
said is
having-
only 7 months. Is that what you just said?
Yes.
Okay.
So then they would, if that, then they would have to do the definitive the other way, okay.
Kurt, any other comments on this?
No, that's, you know, the long and short of it, the statute provides 3 ways for obtaining some protection. It's up to the applicant to decide which is their way, you know, is most advantageous to that. And things come with other procedural steps to continue that protection. So if you do a definitive, within 7 months, you have to either get the building permit or you have to file, I'm sorry, if you do a preliminary, you know, good for 7 months, then you have to get file a definitive plan, you know, to continue that protection on it, so.
So right now, this preliminary plan could be for anything? Do we know it's gonna be solar?
We know that you have an approved solar project on that property.
This freezes the zoning, pretty much. This ensures that the moratorium, if it gets passed at town meeting, won't affect them at all.
Opens up the.
And it gives them that 7 months of.
Exactly, to decide what they're gonna do.
To what they're gonna do, and if, like Kurt said, if.
Yep, so
Did
did
you fi-
you
they'll file
notice
the-
the name? Just so you know. It's submitted by Valley Green Grove.
Okay.
Yes,
Just so you know.
that's, yes.
Okay, well, do we have a motion to accept the plan?
Absolutely.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we have the zoning bylaw amendments.
So, I prepared motions for the articles at town
Yes.
meeting, and I wanted you to review those to see if you have any comments or suggestions for those. We had, as you know, we have 4 zoning articles proposed at the public hearing last week. We voted on 3 of them, and the 4th one is still under discussion, will be picked up at the next meeting on May 16th. So Article 27 is the solar moratorium submitted by the Board of Selectmen. The planning board has recommended approval of that article, and the motion simply says, I move that Article 27 be approved as written. Article 28 is the solar moratorium submitted by citizen petition. So this one was a little, I'm sorry, 27 was the marijuana establishment that you had approved at the last meeting. 28 is the solar moratorium submitted by the selectmen, and you voted to approve that. So that says I move that Article 28 be approved as written. Then Article 29 gets a little confusing because that's the citizens petition, and you had voted not to support that if Article 28 is approved. But I don't know what your position would be if Article 28 is defeated. Would you then support Article 29
No.
in its place?
No, because I don't think it would go anywhere.
No, and the town had already spoken, it
Exactly.
doesn't, and.
Correct.
Kind of review it.
So
Okay, so-
28
so I'll
gets
modify
defeated,
this then.
We're done.
29
Okay.
We don't support it.
You don't support it at all?
At all.
At all.
Okay, okay. Then I'll modify this.
And are we still planning on having our lawyer explain Article 27? Because there is so much confusion still surrounding that people still feel that if they vote no, they're voting no marijuana, not no zoning to marijuana.
Remember when we were talking with it at the last meeting, and when it was explained, everybody was like, "Oh."
Exactly right.
So, I don't know if we have to have a lawyer on staff to do that. I don't know.
Will that,
Bill, will you be at the meeting, or
Well,
can one of
I'll
us?
be at the meeting and
will the use chart be part of the packet?
Excuse me?
Will the use chart that was created for the,
Yes.
will it be part of the packet?
Yes, that's,
Okay,
I had a
all right.
conversation with Robin today.
Yeah.
And she said that, since it's not printed in the warrant, it'll be part of the motion.
What, will it be
So
in
it'll be
print or will it be
handed out?
read off?
I'm not sure.
Because I think it will carry more weight if it's printed, people can
absolutely.
actually
It
look
will-
at it
it will
and
be
and
printed,
go and,
yes.
because look at the
Yeah.
each
Correct.
zone, see what,
Yes.
that it's.
So when you
Right.
walk
But-
in, you'll be handed one.
I think so, yes.
Okay, can you, follow up with her and just make sure
Exactly.
Yeah, 'cause it'll
that
make
when
it so
people
much
come in to
easier
get-
and
my
less
gosh, yeah.
explanation.
to get their vote,
Yeah.
to be able to, when they
vote.
come in to sign, when they sign in, can they also get handed? We just wanna make sure.
Absolutely. Because I think it's so important that people know what they're voting for.
Sure.
Regardless of what direction they want to vote, they
Right.
need to make sure they're educated voters
And
and
Bill,
they vote the way they want.
You will go up and explain, although at least you did a really good job.
Thank
Les,
you.
That this is really just allowing us to control it and
Exactly.
make decisions up front versus a free-for-all where anybody can kind of do what they
Yes.
want
Yep.
with the very basic state
Wherever is the
guidelines.
big one, exactly.
Right.
So if,
And then,
And, okay, on 29, that was just my feeling, I mean.
No, I
the
agree
board-
with you.
Okay.
Because if indeed the town says, we don't want a solar moratorium,
Why do we
they've
wanna-
just said, we don't want one. I
you're
mean,
exactly, why
it's-
would we push it on them if
Exactly.
they already voted
That's
once?
correct, right.
Correct.
Agreed.
okay, then the citizens petition for the rezoning of, the 210 acres of agricultural community business. I think the proponent would move that the article be approved as written. And we don't know what the planning board's recommendation is yet, we haven't made a recommendation, so I don't,
That's at
we'll
the
have to leave
next
that.
meeting.
Next
right?
meeting, yep, we'll have the
open for
discussion
now.
on that.
Right.
Yeah. Do we have to make a recommendation one direction or the
Yes.
other? We do, okay.
Yes.
For it to be, for it to go to town meeting, to be voted on, we have to make a recommendation, so we have to go either way. It
Okay.
doesn't matter, honestly, which
Right.
way.
Because the people vote.
Yeah.
Themselves.
So
right.
you'll have a 4-person quorum for that vote. So if you vote 2-2, that's not a recommendation. So it has to be either 3-1 or 4-0.
That would be interesting, though.
So if you don't have a recommendation, then they wouldn't be able to
Oh, okay.
vote on it at that point.
Oh, really?
But, I mean, we would have, that's something that we should discuss, because the town should really have the
Absolutely.
right to vote on it, so.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
That might be a long discussion.
Yeah.
Did you have any other comments on the zoning stuff?
No, it looks
No,
great.
nicely
Thank you.
done, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bill, putting that together.
Cell tower
Okay.
compliance discussion.
The cell tower, the building department has received an application to swap out some antennas at the existing cell tower at 2 Center Depot Road. So it's really just, taking some of the old antennas off and putting in new ones in the same location. The planning board special permit granted in the year 2000 had a condition 8, which says that any future extension, addition of a wireless communications facility, or construction of new or replacement towers or stealth facilities shall be subject to an amendment of the special permit, following the same procedure as for an original grant of the special permit. So, since that time, there's been a federal law that was passed, and it's called something kind of odd.
That surprises.
It's called the Middle Class Tax Relief and Job Creation Act of 2012. And in it, there's a provision which says that if you are merely changing the existing facilities without actually altering the tower or changing the site in any way, that it's more or less an automatic kind of approval.
Makes sense.
So we have then a conflict between the planning board special permit condition and
The law.
this new law, and the ability of the applicant to do it more as an administrative
Right.
change, subject to whatever building code requirements are in place.
Have to flag that for when we look at our bylaws.
Right. So the question to you is, do you want to have a new special permit for something that really doesn't have much of an impact? And there is this ability to allow the applicant to go forward under this federal law.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
my suggestion would be that
Follow the law.
you don't
Yeah, exactly.
require the new special permit for this project. And even if you wanted to sort of make a policy that whenever something like this happens in the future, the applicant has the ability to go forward. Unless you wanted it to come to you every time for a discussion.
That seems a little redundant. I mean,
So-
if the law says it shouldn't.
Can you explain, so they wanna do it, then they go to
So
you
any
for a
change,
permit instead?
yes, any change is construction that requires a building permit. Basically, an easy way to think about when a building permit is, if you can fall over, fall down, or you can fall into it, it probably needs a building permit. So, this tower was one of the first that was put up in Charlton, very, regulated to, we wanna make sure we're doing this. And then there's another tower, behind 6W, which was the first tree in town.
Yes.
Also somewhat highly regulated, and it's a procedure, I have a, you have a condition that says come to get a site plan. All the other towers you said, you put up the tower, it has 6 co-locators on it, have a nice day, Kurt issues building permits all the time. So it's just a conflict in,
Sure.
the law and what was voted.
Right.
I don't wanna get anybody in trouble, so.
I'm happy to give you anything that we can give you of ours is great for.
Oh, thanks, I need more. So what, and Bill and I have talked about this, what the thing would be is for the board to say, look, we realize that there's a federal law that says that this should not be happening this way, we're gonna abide by the federal law, that's our policy.
Can we do that? Can we just put it into policy tonight, since the law was clearly passed, and put a contingency that unless the law changes?
I think you could, sure, that would, I mean, unless you wanted to review these in every case, then.
No.
But since there's really nothing here to review at this point, I
Exactly.
think the policy kind of makes
All
sense.
they're sort of doing is upgrading the existing
But
equipment.
this is a flagpole,
Yeah,
concealed tower,
yeah,
and the arrays go in it,
okay.
and the cowlings go back on, or a slightly expanded cowling may go on. But I would say that if they came to me and started and wanted to put arms on them,
Well,
that's a
right.
totally different
Yes.
thing.
Right.
And that is beyond what this
Sure.
law allows.
Maybe we'll get better cell service in town.
We're working on it.
Still waiting for that one down on the other side.
Yeah.
They haven't done yet.
Which one on the other side?
Daniels. Down by Daniels, it was supposed to put one down on
Yeah.
that corner, the corner near Oxford.
There's one, that has been erected.
Really?
Yes, it's down at the Oxford line, just past Hilkus Pit. Yep,
I
it's
thought
up
it would
at-
get such an improvement.
It's a, I think Verizon is the provider that's on
Yeah,
that.
I think it is.
So if you're AT&T, it didn't do you any good, just
Right.
like the one at the police station.
Yep.
The first locator on it is Verizon.
I'll make a motion to follow the law and no longer require a special permit unless the law changes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Awesome job following the agenda.
Good job. So, growth management.
I don't really have anything for this topic.
No, no, I'll do it. We're still in an open public meeting.
Oh, I was at you really. Didn't look like anybody was left.
Yeah, well, somebody could show up. you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Nobody
oh,
needs no
absolutely.
problem.
No.
Discussion.
We're on time, we don't need problems.
Discussion on
Okay.
directive.
Yeah.
It's being talked about.
So, we have two candidates.
Yep.
We wanted to talk about them in open session, but not mention names.
Candidate one,
So
candidate
we have candidate one and candidate two. Candidate one is the one from Massachusetts, and candidate two is the one from Canada. So we won't get that mixed up. So Patty, you can.
So, I had, knowing what we know with our research that we've kind of done on our own about the background of candidate two, I think that was who we were all and I'm speaking for everybody right now, but I got the tone in the room that we were all favoring.
Yep.
And when we all did our research and went to YouTube and public meeting, and we found out that he really doesn't have the planning experience that we believe from the meeting and from the resume.
Yes.
He's much more of a zoning enforcement and conservation.
Agreed.
And I actually called and asked, I said, I have some land in town and I wanna talk to somebody, I don't wanna talk to like somebody high level, like the planning director, can I have an assistant to talk to? And there was not one. So it got to that point, so we have to kind of, I would say, like in my opinion, because I worry, just because I feel like we had a different impression. And in my opinion, number one, wasn't a good fit for our board. Just the personality and even some of the experience, because the towns are actually different size-wise. They're kind of compatible, but the type of growth and the type of issues we have, I think it's a different ballgame. Again, my opinion, so disagree, agree. The third, I just think more consultants and I just think I think he's great as a consultant, but I can't see him, I think he'd get very bored in one town, in one place, even in a very exciting, awesome town like we have, he would get bored. And I think it would end up kind of not a good fit. So my overall opinion is that, and I don't want to say this, but I think we should actually re-advertise and see now, because remember, we didn't advertise for very long. At first we advertised in all the wrong places, and we only had a short period of time in the actual planning focused papers and websites, et cetera, et cetera. So my opinion is that we advertise, because if we're gonna do something, we're gonna do it right, and it's already been 6 months, and I just wanna get somebody who suit the town the best that we can. I wanna get the best that we can.
No.
Now I'm talking.
When Jess spoke, she said that because we've brought them in for second round interviews, we cannot not pick one of them, that we are at a point where we have to pick one of them because we've brought them this far. Has that been clarified? I meant to email her 2 days ago asking this very question before we came here tonight.
I think that you have to have a reason why they don't do it.
And
Doesn't mean that we
that's
have
what I
to.
understood.
That's what I understood it as.
You need
We have to have a
have
solid reason,
Correct.
something, unfortunately, something such as I found a felony conviction on your record, you're not a good fit for the town, and I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I just wanna make sure we do this correctly, because what I don't want it to do is come back to bite us, because that's too soft. From what I understood, and correct me, because again, I'm speaking as one person, but it has to be something definitive. It has to be something, you lied about, blah, blah, blah. This has happened, blah, blah, blah. For us to bring them through 2 rounds of interviews and say, well, we've decided you're just not a good fit, I don't know, and that would be awesome if we can do that.
If you were interviewing somebody for the bank and they happen to be, say, very excitable, and you could tell that they would probably not be the best customer service.
Basically,
but they've been working in customer service for 10 years.
That doesn't mean anything. Or if they present really well in first interview, second interview comes around, and all of a sudden I decide, you know what, you've just said 3 things that I don't like anymore.
And what would you use as your reasoning?
I would cite those examples specifically, that when you said this, I felt, and I felt this because of this. I felt that you would give poor customer service because of this example that you used, et cetera, and I would be very, very, very specific to within an inch of its life, so that way there was no liability. There was no way they could come back and say, you just didn't like me. No, it has nothing to do with the fact that if I didn't like you, you wouldn't have made it through round 1. Into round 2. I don't like a specific example. We can sit down and do that, which absolutely, we just would need to do, I think we would need to be more definitive on that.
So I think we would need to sit with Jessica
Yes.
and give her the specific reasons,
Exactly.
like I mentioned,
Yep.
but we could get into more detail.
Mm-hmm.
And then if somebody on top, with those reasons, decides that they need to bring in a lawyer,
Sure.
actually file it, then
we have another
people,
issue.
then we were probably glad we didn't pick them in the first place, so.
The other possibility, I know you, for the Connecticut candidate, you've expressed some reservations about his planning experience. Would you want to bring him back in and quiz him about his experience in the specific kinds of tasks that you're concerned about? To see whether he could sort of overcome some of the reservations you have in that area, or?
It's
Not
to
a
me-
bad idea.
To me, that's stretching it a little bit. I mean, to me, we've looked at, I feel that he misrepresented himself
On the verge of.
During the
And
interviews.
maybe a little bit shame on us for not picking up on it.
Thanks. I don't think we went very
Not-
technical.
Right. There should have been some more questions that were more technical oriented questions to this specific job that weren't asked of any of the candidates.
So
and
to your-
that not only is reflected on this board, but we just need to look at that a little bit more in depth if we do go out to advertise it again. I think our questionings need to be specific to this town, this position, this office, and not to a town that has pretty much no new growth.
And I didn't want to bring out a plan and say, all right, review this plan in front of me and show me how
But
to
maybe
do
we
it
should.
step by step.
Maybe
and
we should though, because we've done, and that's why I said planning board word problems, because we've done that at the credit union, where we've said, okay, this is the scenario, amortize it, write the mortgage on it, tell us the regulations, why can't this go through, what is the issue? And something that we might consider is having a third round of interviews and having some very specific planning questions, because if they fail based on those, now we've got them. Now we've got real solidified reasons as to why they can't go forward, and let's make this as technical as possible, because that way it really protects us. And let's just say that one of these people is a shining star technical wise, well then maybe we're looking at something that we weren't looking at before, and maybe that's a positive, rather than relaunch the fishing pole and start all over again.
I think that's a lot of work for us, for people that we weren't super impressed with. I mean, I get your enthusiasm of, definitely coming in here on another Tuesday night, since Jessica can't meet on Wednesdays, and it has to be Tuesdays. I get that, but I think it's too much work for somebody that we're paying a salary to come in to us, unless Jessica sits and says that's what we need to do. And we need
I
to give
just
them
think we're gonna
quizzes
need something real specific, and again, this is a discussion, I don't mean to bully my thoughts into yours. I just think that we're gonna need something a little bit more specific if we say no to someone we've brought in for a second round of interviews. And I think a technical plan, where it can be one set of plans, we can work with Bill, and we can say, listen, we're going to, now Bill has access to Google. Bill has access to every planning tool out there. We could mail it to them. There's no reason why they need to be sitting here in a secluded room, where we could let them sit here with the laptop and say, how would you plan this? Because I know at my own office, I've got resources. And so I don't know if we would want to do that, and then have them mail it back in.
So
Okay.
if
I wanna hear it.
Okay.
if number 3 reads those plans like a shining star, and we already know personality, like consultant wise, where
Well, I think you've already sort of made a decision not to hire him, so I think you're down to 2 people.
Not really.
No,
Two fi- I thought
no,
you
I
had two
mean,
finalists.
no, I mean, we
I thought you really wanted
we
to just
took the
consider
we took the least bad out of the bad, because we only had so many to pick from.
Right.
This is all, I'm so happy this is all cool. Everybody knows me, I'm so blunt, it's just how I am. So we took the least bad out of them all, and then we kind of but I don't wanna get a new director on the least bad. If that, you know, I don't wanna settle because I'm worried about that somebody has hurt feelings. I wanna get somebody who can, and if going another round means more opportunities.
But my question to you, and I truly mean this as a question, you know the salary we're gonna be offering. I think that we should bring two that we have, and give them the test, because I think that the director that we want and the director, I think we have champagne tastes on a beer budget, and I think that we need to look at the two that we've got. We've started the pool, we've done the pool. They're not bad people. They might not be the best people, but maybe, I mean, there's a lot of talent in this room, and Jane's been here for a long time, and I don't think she needs to train them, but I think that,
yeah, if she's training our new planning director,
well, that's what I mean.
That's
I meant training for what I meant training for what Charlton has. Training for just showing them the projects, the developers, because they're going to come in not knowing the people.
We talking about
Alan had to do the same
champagne,
thing.
you know, taste. We don't know what town meeting is going to bring. So
What is our budget?
We don't even know yet because I
We're
have
gonna sit with them, yeah.
Right, we
No,
don't,
no,
we don't
they
even
never
know.
agree. Jessica
never-
said she has comps, and we've never gotten past that. Because the last I heard from her is she said at the meeting last time is that she's gone out, she's reached out, she has all the comps, and then I thought she was
It
going to email them
hasn't
to
even
everybody.
been- And just because us as boards sat around and said we want to divide the position or we want to combine the position, there is no telling what the town meeting will bring, and if they're combined, that's how it was made in the first place. They were combined.
Is it on the warrant as to divide or
It could be
together?
opened up on the budget if
Didn't
it
come
did.
up yet.
We don't get it
Hasn't
till
come
the
out
day.
yet.
And it could be opened
Well,
up on the
there's
budget. It's a budgetary
Meaning,
thing.
Yeah, but there's a draft warrant out, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
I saw a draft warrant.
Yeah,
we
we
have
don't
the
The
see
budget
salaries.
was, the budget wasn't in there.
No,
Yes,
it never is.
The budget's only handed out. So
It is a
so-
public record, and once in any draft of it that the finance committee has touched or the board of selectmen have touched is a public record.
Oh, that's interesting. Where would you go to get it?
Yeah, the town, we can go to the town clerk and ask for it as
Okay.
public records law.
Well, yeah, she'll just give it to you.
Okay, my one question is, if you're going to bring back people again for a third interview, if you didn't have too strong of a leg standing on denying
Right.
them on a second interview, what's that, you know?
I feel like we're wasting their time too.
Well, we can say we failed in our duties to check their technical abilities.
Maybe they're
We're
not
simply-
available anymore.
Right, they could not be available. Come back again so we can find a way to not.
To not hire you.
You know what I'm saying? I'm
No,
just,
that's
I'm
not
just,
right.
I think, you know, and I'm just a person sitting here and I know a little bit about government. And is that you really need to get a certain set of answers from Jessica because she's the one. I've sat with her and interviewed people and we've had discussions about what we can and cannot ask. There's some
Right,
certain
right.
things there. If, even in the first round, if I invite just on the resume review, if I invite so-and-so, then I better invite so-and-so.
Yes. And if you ask this one a question, you must ask that
And
one
then,
the
oh
question.
yes, the questions all have to be the
Yes.
same across the board, so it was a little bit easier for me because I was interviewing for a local inspector and I had 3 people that had certifications.
Oh, nice. That's easier.
Okay, so different levels of certification, but certification, and then I had some people that weren't certified, so
Okay.
that was the easy break point
Right.
for it, but there was one guy that had a whole bunch of technical
Mhm.
stuff and looked good on paper, but he had no certification.
Nice.
So sometimes some decisions are easy, but that was a caution she gave me
Mhm.
about that. So you really need to get this how you,
Right.
so I propose that I sent an email to Jane asking her to write up a letter to Jessica saying that we really want to kind of start this process over. It was very messy at the beginning, and I'd like to re-advertise, but I think that maybe we need to modify that a little bit and ask her, what do we need to do to be able to do that? So we do everything correctly. And then whatever we need to do, we need to do. But I will not accept because I asked her here and she goes, now that you have them, you have to pick one.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard. I refuse to settle on one because legally I have to pick one, and even if we, us as a board, don't feel they're the best person for the job here, and if we advertise again and we get the same issue, then maybe we need to knock ourselves down a little bit, but I just don't wanna settle, because we brought them into second interviews and now we have to choose one. It doesn't seem like I guess sometimes you get,
So I think we should table it until we talk to Jessica and find
So
out
that's-
what our next steps are.
Well, that's basically what your letter says, doesn't it? That
yes, I feel like we should re-advertise, and then she would have to respond to that.
respond back to that as to why we can't or why we
Did
should.
did somebody else have a,
I thought that was.
The other thing I'll offer to you folks is that we did change the town bylaw, and this is a professional, non-union position, and there's a 1-year probationary
Yes, you did
period.
say that, which is fabulous,
Okay,
which makes
so-
it very easy to let someone go.
Now, there
is it a
certain-
whole year? I thought she said
It's
it was
1 year, yeah.
It got changed from 6 months
Yeah.
to 1 year.
Because they need to in a position like that.
So, not as a fallback position by any
Right.
means, but it is,
Correct.
we have positioned
Exactly.
ourselves
Yep.
much better, and then what the requirements to
Mhm.
terminate within the probationary period certainly puts you back,
Right.
but it is.
Have you ever done that before?
Have, let someone go on probation?
I
Absolutely.
have. It's even worse than it's worse than I'm not just that over than doing that.
I will simply say that the process to get there is so much harder than running shorthanded. Because what you put up with in the interim is just awful.
So I would have a really.
One of the things I'd like to add into this letter is what we need to do to make that happen. If we can just, sorry. Because I want to make sure we're just covering our butts more than anything. And can we request from her that she email out the salary comps that she has done?
Yes.
I'd like to see those.
So I think we're past budget season.
I'm sorry?
Past budget season?
Yeah. Thank you.
So what is the final?
What is the outcome of all that?
Interim decision at this point?
To wait to hear back from
Yes.
Jessica, I
To
guess,
send that to
right?
Jessica
Yes.
and see.
Yes.
Did you
If she-
when would you want to review her reply?
As soon as you
As
get
soon
it.
as possible.
Yeah.
Email it out to us.
Okay, but then we'd have to meet to discuss it.
Yeah, and I honestly, at this point, I think I'd like to see what happens at the town meeting and where everything goes, because it'll give us a little bit more guidelines on where we're going.
Well, we can discuss at our 16th meeting.
Yep.
That, what has transpired since this meeting, and then.
And then know those facts.
Get all,
I think you
all
should
those
sort of
little
keep it
ducks in a
moving
row.
rather
Oh,
than just
absolutely.
sit waiting.
And then if
Are
you absolutely
you
need
getting
to
sick
call a
of
meeting.
Charlton?
Not yet.
I'm getting them up to speed on all the characters.
That's
Part of the book when you retire, right?
right. Okay. The next item is, you all got a copy of the settlement agreement with 508.
Is that, can we talk about?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a public document now.
It's in the newspaper. It's in
Right.
the,
I haven't read the paper today.
the Villaging.
I don't know, I haven't seen
Yeah,
the Villager.
for some reason, I got the Villager at my house today.
Really?
And there's a whole big article on it.
Oh,
On the actual agreement?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay, well, it's
I don't know.
It's not secret anymore.
okay.
Yeah, it doesn't
How
come
did
out
they
till
get it? I
Thursday.
emailed it to them.
Yeah.
Oh, you emailed
did?
it? Oh, okay.
Once it was signed
Okay.
by the
People.
principals of 508, I had signed it, okay, and it was executed. I actually got a document today from the court that said they lifted the TRO for the event that occurred Saturday. And they want to hear back from the parties by June 5th on the progress that 508 has made,
Did they have that event on Saturday?
as far as I know. But I did not hear any complaints about it. I did not go out to see if it was happening.
It happened, and as far as I know, there were no complaints.
Oh,
Seemed to
they
go over pretty well.
Okay.
None of the neighbors complained. So I think it was a success from the town's perspective.
This must why everybody was asking me about that big giant mud run there with thousands of people.
Right.
They must have saw this and then,
So I'd like to call your attention to items 1 and 2 here. So item 1 is a request for the clarification of the site plan decision. So as soon as possible, but prior to May 31, 508 will file an application with the planning board to clarify/revise the site plan decision to remove any reference to the list of activities attached as Exhibit A, known as the activity list. The parties agree that this request may be made as a request for administrative clarification of the site plan decision, so as not to require a new public hearing, but further recognize and agree that the decision of whether to treat the request as an administrative clarification should be within the sole discretion of the planning board.
Could you translate that for me?
So
that list of,
that's
that
the
list of
list.
50,
The list
right?
of 50
The
is
list says
gone.
you can't do any of these.
It's no longer.
Because it's in the, so that needs to be dealt with. And you can deal with it either as a non-special permit or as a special permit. Not as a special permit, but as a non-public hearing, or holding a public hearing to do it.
So we
So
could,
the administrative clarification would be allowed public hearing. We would schedule that for the next meeting, May 16th, and have you discuss whether you want to remove that list,
or just modify.
or modify it, or do something about it.
So does that mean we go through item by item and say, yes, you could do that, or no, you need to pull a
Well,
permit for
Yes,
this?
what?
I thought you already did that.
Did
That's
that.
exactly what's.
Well,
We
okay, but
categorized.
this is the formal process.
Okay.
Okay, you voted, so, I'm sorry
Yes,
if I
sure.
jump in there, you know. When you issued the decision for Sunset City, item 4 referred to what we call the list of 50, or
Yes.
the activities, what the court is calling, because it's titled activity
Right.
list. The activity list. From that list, it was my opinion that these were prohibited activities.
Right.
Okay. My take on what happened was that the board denied them only because they were not identified on the plan as where they were going to occur. And some of them required building of structures. But the way it got written,
Mhm.
and I think reasonably interpreted it said, no, all you can do is motocross. So the applicant has had agita over this
Yeah.
all through the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't understand fully what that did. So we have negotiated with them to say, look, we're gonna let you come back.
Yeah.
And the question before you now is shall it be held as an administrative thing, just like we did with the cell tower issue?
Yes, yes, okay.
Or whether it is an actual modification of the decision and a full public hearing be brought.
So that goes into paragraph 2, which says that they will come back with a modified site plan, which would require a public hearing. So we tentatively suggested that 508 submit the revised site plan in the middle of May, and that we have a public hearing on the modification at the June 6th meeting.
But this is May 31st.
Yes, as soon as possible, but prior to the 31st, they will file an application with the planning board to modify the site plan.
Now, if they
So-
file a full site plan application though, everything they want to do will be on there. So we're either going to fully approve them and we don't need a further site, public hearing because we've just approved it as it sits, or we're saying, nope, we don't like that because you now added rocket ship launching, so we're not gonna do it, so no. Isn't that, I mean, if they're a fully executed site plan, we'll list out every last item that they want to do, won't it?
Well, so, under paragraph 1, we just sort of remove this impediment on this list of 50
Right.
prohibited list. It doesn't change anything what they can do. That will be decided when
Town
you
meeting.
reopen the site plan public hearing.
Well, town meeting
and
now.
approve.
Don't go there. Sorry, just don't go there.
Because that's a zone change, that has no, that's totally different from
Yeah, but
this.
there's permitted uses in
That's
that.
good.
But we have to look at it as it is
So-
right now.
Exactly,
Right, that will
We
change,
have to
that will
deal-
change everything of that.
everything,
Rezoning
that's
gets
never gonna,
approved.
it is, well,
Well, that's
So
what I mean.
we're sort
We
of
see-
going down 2 tracks at the same
Yes.
time here.
Okay.
We don't know which track is actually
Correct.
gonna be the
right.
final track. But so, we're-
Motocross one.
so we are, so
Is it track 1 or track 2 is gonna
this
lean
calls for
there?
them to come in to modify the site plan, so we wanna continue with that process. If the zoning change is approved, a lot of the things that are on the site plan would be allowed by right, and then we need to get site plan approval for it. So we'll have to deal with that later.
So can we hold off and say, well, we will, whether we go through public hearing or not, we will vote that once we see the site plan? Because that's public hearing anyway. I mean, everybody gets to talk then.
If there wasn't the activity list, and I've said this publicly before, if there wasn't an activity list, those first bunch of things, well, not actually in the list that you have there, but those like activities, okay, and I've said this before to this group, I don't see that there's a difference between a motocross bike, a side-by-side, a four-wheeler,
It's all noise, nobody
a
cares what's
trike.
causing it.
Okay, those are all similar uses, but because they were in that activity list, and that activity list was denied except for motocross, okay, and the emergency helicopter landing pad, via your decision, it became sort of a double negative. Now, the neighbors are excited, and that's what I'll say.
So I think when we've talked about this before, the board has been sort of concerned about this list of 50 and that it kind of got misinterpreted from what its intent was. So I think by removing it, it sort of gets us back to
Yes.
square one and says, okay, now we can start from scratch
Mhm.
and review the plan going forward.
Now, can we adopt this,
I-
like how you kind of put forth with these type of low, medium, and high impact
Exactly.
type grading on these proposed uses or activity list? Because it just, I think that the way that it's categorized kind of makes it simple
It does.
and easy, because we got to look at, all right, motocross is already approved. This board already approved it.
Yep.
So that's the baseline.
The most intense activity.
Correct. That's the
It's
most.
already been approved anyway.
Correct. And
I think that's a discussion between the applicant, what the applicant presents to you,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
and what this board wants to do. I have suggested repeatedly in different forms to the applicant this kind of a scheme. Their concern has been they don't want to be locked into a list,
That's fair.
okay, because
Understandable.
we don't know what
Right.
the thing is, okay, and we had in this list, for an example, and I put specifically in the list Monster Mud and Spartan Race. And their council represented correctly, well, those are brand names,
Oh.
okay, so we said, oh, okay, got it, they're brand names, you know, so,
Races.
so they're, we changed the name of them to something or other, pedestrian obstacle course or something or other.
Now, aren't all these things allowed by right in agricultural zoning?
Recreational use for gainful profit requires a site plan.
Okay, okay. So basically, we need to know what they're going to do, even though,
They need to present to
not a
you
list of 50, but just a site plan, a
the
legit
site plan, and that's what I think we've said as clear as we can in
Yes.
this. Show us generally on the
Exactly.
plan
Yes.
where you're gonna do these things.
Exactly,
Where you're
exactly.
gonna
And
do
that's,
what.
that's to your
Exactly.
point, Ross, I think
Yeah.
this provides a guide for how they will submit the plan.
Exactly.
Right, so they're gonna show us an area, and in this area, they can do obstacle course foot racing and bicycle racing, cause it all is kind of like the
Correct.
same terrain. And
It
and
could-
it just
it-
has to be drawn out on their plans and just.
Generally, somewhere on this whole property, this kind of activity will happen. If there's gonna be a boxing match, and I think, and then because
Yeah.
there was a proposed match,
There was.
show me a square
Exactly.
somewhere.
Right.
On stage, which could
I
also be.
would
a
put this
concert.
stage.
Correct, so I know whether you're right next to someone's house or whether you're knee deep in your plan or not.
Isn't that all this board has ever asked for from the beginning?
So they're afraid that if we start to, he would take away the list, and then they're afraid now, once the list is gone, to create a new list, because they don't wanna be, kind of.
I proposed
Be-
language that,
well,
that didn't get put in there, you know, and there's lawyers talking to lawyers, there's other people involved in this process that said, you know, similar to. Okay, so that's where, you know, like I said, if we hadn't had this activity list,
That's what killed it
the
all.
neighbors may have been upset with my decision. Okay, but I would have interpreted that a motorbike is the same as.
I would agree. Yeah, 'cause
Okay,
it's noise
they
level.
have an overriding DEP requirement that
Right.
says they can't exceed 10 dB above ambient, and there's some discussion about if that testing methodology was correct. I haven't delved back into that
Sure.
issue. You know, it's pointed out in some other correspondence that are going on right now. But, you know, because I says, oh, I had originally proposed, well, let's say 50 horsepower. Well, that doesn't mean anything. It's how much noise it's making,
Right.
right? And that's the governing factor here is that this board's charge is to mitigate the sound,
Yep.
okay, that's being created by this, that it isn't over 10 dB.
Exactly. Just is, right.
So I guess back to the original question is, do you want to take on that first task as an administrative clarification or not? And
The simplest way to do it is that way, right?
It is.
Yeah, I would agree with
and,
that.
And I think that if we're kind of making this a lot more complicated, so we're gonna bring it in, we're gonna discuss it, and then we're gonna figure out if we should just get rid of this list,
Right.
right? And then, that's gonna happen,
Yep.
and that's gonna kinda get the ball rolling, and they're gonna come in with this beautiful plan.
Yes.
Um,
Which is a public hearing.
which is a public plan, that's gonna be absolutely the most amazing thing you've ever seen, that's gonna be in front of us, and it's gonna say, we're gonna do something, they'll define, these things are gonna be drawn on the map.
Yep.
And we're all gonna be happy, and
And
It'll
we're
be
going to
in
have a
the
lot of
paper that we
discussion
solved
and a
major
lot more
problems. Okay.
discussion, and then we're going to say, yay or nay.
so that's.
So you may want to think about the actual mechanics of this administrative change.
In what way, Kurt?
It's a board discussion.
Yes.
Yep.
It is a public meeting.
Correct.
Not a public hearing.
So we don't have to advertise, do we have to, how do we make?
Right, so
So it's agenda
Discussion.
post. So,
It's
but
just
we don't have to
discussion.
do any sort of like mailings or anything,
No.
we just wanna, it just needs to be,
My only fear with making it a public hearing the first time through is that until we have a site plan, you're gonna hear from a lot of people who probably aren't very happy, and an equal number of people who are gonna be very happy over something that doesn't actually exist yet. Even though it only exists on paper, you're gonna have a lot of discussion over something that might not even come to fruition. I would rather let them come, because I would open anybody to watch the meetings and whatnot, to be educated. But until we have something solid, I don't think that it is necessary to have the public chiming in, because at that point, I mean, we could take the site plan and say, listen, the concert hall is way too close to the abutters, let's move that over, and that's where the public can voice their feelings. My fear is that we're going to have hours of testimony over something that isn't actually put in place yet.
I'd rather go through the hours of testimony and have it very transparent, and we can do the whole, you have 3 minutes to talk and stop and
Okay.
on subject, but if if it's not open and people don't have a chance to, we're gonna definitely make a lot of people unhappy, and I'm fine with that, but I think as transparent as possible is the last thing I want them to say is, oh, we snuck it in.
Oh, no,
The last
absolutely.
thing, and I feel that if let's just get it, and if it's one crazy meeting, it's one crazy meeting to get the ball rolling to fix this process. This has to get tied up and put away,
Yeah.
and let's just do it kind of, you guys chime in, like,
Once we say it's gonna be an administrative type thing, that means that there's no public hearing or anything, correct?
Until site plan.
Okay, that's my question. Now, when they come in with a site plan,
Revised plan, it's a modification, so that will be a new public hearing,
that will be a public hearing
yes.
and posted,
Yep.
Posted mailing.
abutters and everything.
there's no other way to get through this though. We
Right.
pretty much,
But we can talk prior to that as the,
What to do with that list, right, it's.
yeah,
board-
as
a
an
board discussion.
administrative, what do they call them?
it's kinda like doing a preliminary, right?
Administrative
Well,
clarification
no,
of the site
it's a-
plan
So
decision.
we're gonna
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
we're gonna kind of guide them for the actual submittal, right?
No, we're just gonna talk about what to do with that activity list. This sort of lays out what they're gonna do in terms of their site plan.
But
application.
isn't this, this lawsuit was signed.
It's a way
It's a
to
settlement.
get out of the,
Right.
out of the litigation.
Yeah, it's a little different.
So there's, I guess there was still, the litigation is still pending, it hasn't been,
It hasn't been drafted.
And pretty much this agreement says, that we're supposed to be seeing this, we're supposed to start this ball rolling.
Yeah,
With, as soon as possible, so let's get it, let's,
yeah.
let's just.
as soon as possible, but prior to the end of this month.
So
What was
let's
the
get it
wording we had?
moving.
They have to file an application with us.
For the 16th.
So what date are we thinking about for the meeting?
Next meeting,
The
right?
next meeting?
Then the public hearing is June sixth.
This is how I put it on the agenda.
Which one, third?
So, May 16th is just we have, looks like 20 minutes max to talk about this activity list.
Yep.
It's gonna take a lot longer than that if you open it up as a public
Well,
hearing.
no, we're not opening it.
No, no,
It's
open
just
it up.
administrative
It'll be-
discussion.
it'll be an
Just
open-
discussion.
The wording.
Just discussion.
Sunset City International clarification on activity list.
Okay.
So,
Fair enough.
it's obviously we're an open meeting
Sure.
and there'll be
People
people
come.
here and.
They're gonna wanna
Did you-
speak.
Did you put in administrative discussion though?
I just
Should
put
be.
it on the agenda.
All right.
Yeah.
Should be
Did you-
administrative discussion, so
Bill,
it's
is
not a
it-
public
is
hearing,
it
it's.
Put
at
that
that
above
point
it,
that the board is
administrative
making the
discussion.
decision how they're gonna handle it,
Yeah.
or is it
Sure.
at this point?
Does that make sense, Patty,
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
say
we're just
it's a
talking
discussion
process
among?
tonight.
Okay,
We're
so
not-
So
we're not
I-
deciding
I'll-
anything right now.
Right.
That,
And
that
think-
meeting
I don't
is
blame- no, I
so
don't
that
blame
you
you.
can
So this is
officially
good. So
discuss
it's clear.
how you're going.
People from
Okay, they will
do
be
a
here
word
and we
search
can
for
have a
Sunset City now?
conversation.
It'll
Finally,
pop
we'll
up.
be here.
Correct.
So,
I'm
Absolutely.
sure lots of other people will be here too.
so.
You fulfill your part of the bargain.
Ask a question. Does
Right?
Yep.
You have a discussion on how you
It's
wanna
not a
handle
public
this
hearing,
change.
So
Yep.
they actually, you don't have to.
So it's not a public hearing, so we don't have to allow them to ask, like, let them, but just
It's
be.
gonna be hard to block them.
So unless someone else is the new chair,
In 2 weeks, not happening. You're the chair.
We'll
No,
explain.
we have to reorganize after the election.
After the election, but this meeting is before the election.
Does that mean I'm
No,
not
the
doing
election's
good?
Saturday.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
I'm thinking,
You're thinking
So,
town meetings, I've been
chairman
doing
for
that
next
all week.
See,
Yeah,
I was
okay, I'm
planning
sorry.
on being really good by the next meeting though.
So you're trying to come
Um,
around the bend.
So,
So,
at this, tonight is really just to discuss procedure.
but
and
we'll
on
be
the 16th we'll
very
discuss
clear
substance.
that we're being generous and keep it to 3 minutes and on the point and let people speak and.
Well, the point is, we're really just talking about this list. So you have to, if you're gonna allow the public to comment, it's only on whether that list should be
List
removed
is-
from the decision or not.
And we'll discuss pretty much and get to the point where we're right to that very end before we do so, so.
Because the public might wanna bring up a lot of other issues.
I'm sure they're going to, want
That's
to.
not the place for it. It's
No.
We're gonna have the
revised-
gavel out,
Revised site plan application would be the time to bring up those issues.
Should we try to book the selectmen's room, because that will be a very busy
We
meeting.
do have it already.
Okay.
Because of the zoning change issue.
That's at
That's on
the
the
same one?
That's on the same one.
Around the 16th.
Okay.
We continued it.
Yes,
and
oh, yeah,
hearing
you're
is
right,
right
we
now.
just talked about
Oh,
it.
that's
Okay.
right.
but that should be, that
It's the
should,
same group of people.
that
just-
should be an easy
Actually,
one,
yes.
right?
I'm sorry?
That should be a pretty easy.
The zoning change? You're gonna have the same group saying the same things.
Yeah, but we only
I think you
continue
made
to
it pretty
get.
clear to him, though. You did a very
We
good
only-
job.
Thank you.
But we only continue to get more information, and upon that, we should be ready to, if there, if information is there,
It is
we should discuss
Yes.
and
It
vote
is
So whatever, however the
Yes.
wording was, I get it.
Few
Yeah,
comments.
the
Where should I put it?
continuation of
like,
the.
no more
Public hearing
3
on
minutes
the
max.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
stopwatch the whole thing.
No, truly, because I've seen that done before and it works out well. Because it
Says here,
controls, does a huge
parties
tornado.
agree that this request may be made as a request for administrative clarification of the site plan decision as to not require a new public hearing. So it sounds like they've already, the
what
parties
I
that
was
did
saying,
this
yeah.
agreed. What
No,
can
we're
we-
not usurping the planning board authority.
The whole thing.
You still have the ability to not remove that list if you.
Yeah, sole discretion.
Right, but I mean, I'm just saying that it's already been agreed that this request shall be made as an administrative
No.
clarification.
But at the planning board, that's a suggestion to the planning board.
Okay.
You can make it
Okay.
a
It's our sole discretion to make that decision.
public hearing if you wanted to.
Okay. So what do we have to do now? Do we, do we have to vote to make it administrative, or can we just accept it as?
I think we should take a vote
At the next
now,
meeting.
tonight.
No, tonight,
As
to
to
have
whether
them,
it's administrative
to have them
clarification.
come in
Correct.
to discuss that
Correct,
list
right.
and for us to figure
Not
out.
to make the decision, just to decide how you wanna handle it.
I'll make a motion, we make it a administrative clarification as opposed to a public hearing.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
That was
Do we have minutes?
No.
Okay.
I just had one other item. Blackwell Drive acceptance is coming up for acceptance again at town meeting in October.
Cleveland.
Town meeting voted to accept Blackwell Drive as a public way.
Yep.
We were not able to perfect the taking of that road because of, it wasn't completed in time. So, it's coming up again. Cleve Lair has asked for the board to release the bond. I spoke with him today about it. So I called Mike, he said there were a few minor things he wanted to go out and check. So he isn't satisfied yet that all the work is done. So the point to you is, you could vote to release the bond subject to Mike's agreement that everything is done, or wait for Mike's report before agreeing to release the bond.
I think if Mike feels that it's a good idea, I mean, Mike's an intelligent person, if we could vote it pending his approval, I'm okay with that.
Did I
I
ask the
trust him,
question?
absolutely.
How do you want to handle that?
I'll make a motion to accept, releasing the bond pending Mike's approval of such.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good, thank you. That's it for me.
No minutes.
No minutes, no more board business.
Motion to adjourn.
We're going into executive.
Do we need to?
We don't need
It's
to.
always on.
I was gonna ask you if it was always on.
It is.
It's always on.
Just in case we needed
Yep,
to.
correct.
Yeah. Okay, good.
It's your little out.
So those are all signed.
Okay, so let me just fix this here.
That's like that.
Oh.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.